So Claire and I are here and we're just talking about when we feel a spirit of heaviness or there's an oppression in our school and it feels really heavy in the room or in the school itself. What do we do? And then the other thing of Jesus, I expect you to show up with signs, wonders, and miracles through me. I haven't seen them yet in the school. Maybe I've seen them in my church or they've seen them on the street. You've used me before in the past, but how do we walk in this place of continual expectation? So we're just jumping into a conversation. We're inviting you along and we'll see where God takes this.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I was just saying, there's these things that I've asked God for. I make a list at the beginning of the year, sometime before and after getting to know the students. I want to see this, learning disability broken off of this kid, or I want to see, this physical disability be healed in my classroom this year. I have that desire, that no one leaves the classroom without having full wholeness in all areas, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, and just asking God for those things, even almost on a checklist, God, this is what I want to see this year.
That's so good.
And walking through, what does that look like day to day if I haven't seen it yet, not taking it on as it's all on me, I have to muster this up, but also not getting stuck in disappointment and how to keep pushing forward. I'm even reminded of, the pastor at my church, Bill Johnson at Bethel. He talked about his season. He talks about it often, his season when he first started hearing of miracles happening today, or these things that were happening after, I think, the Toronto blessing, and just having this thing of, I believe this, but I'm not seeing it. And then now, years and years later, I mean, there's been such a journey for him in the church, but these things are happening now at the church. And so it is a good testimony to, or just a reminder. People like Heidi Baker had prayed for so many people, I can't remember, that were blind, and she didn't see any of them healed until she did. And then now she's seen so many. And so I think it's good for me to remind myself, just because there is a gap right now between what I'm believing for and what I've seen. It's not time to stop, because we also have we have generations behind us of, people that haven't been seeing what we're seeing now. And I think back even church history, all of the amazing things that were happening with the early apostles. And then whenever, 300 years later or so, whenever the cessationist teaching started happening, where that was kind of cut off from the church, we're not supposed to walk in this, then we've had generations of not believing for that in so many denominations. So now coming back to bringing that in again, letting God do that again. And I think when we look
inviting
at
him.
Yes, inviting him to be the same God and do the same things to reveal his goodness, and power. Thinking about this is a huge momentum shift, or just even kind of a tipping point, as the global church is starting to wake up again to God here and now. And I think obviously there's places in the world where they never stopped believing for those things. But I think in the Western church, we're starting to see so much more happen, as we, even for me, just tasting it for the first time and going, oh, this really is authentically God, and it's real, and God does still do these things today. And I think that desire we have for that is from him. And so to not think, oh God, I'm so disappointed with you because this and this and this didn't happen. It's more of, he has that in my heart. He put that there. So he, it's coming from him. And just to keep asking, keep knocking, the verses are coming to mind about that, asking, it will be done. So, Bill Johnson talks a lot about how do we give God our disappointment and not let our circumstances dictate our theology, but let, what we know to be true about God's nature dictate what we believe for in our circumstances to change. And I think that's, part of the trickiest thing about being a kingdom minded believer is saying, no, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm still going to believe it, and I'm still going to go for it. And I'm not going to stop, even if, it takes a while. I do think that we're going to, we are going to see a shift as we keep pushing forward. And I think as a whole church, the global body, we're pushing something that's been there for a long time, maybe a wall, I don't know, out of the way. And so it's not just like this instantaneous, I haven't seen it to be just like all in one day, everything changed. But as we're moving forward, I do see the trickle effect and the domino effect.
Claire, I feel like a lot of what you're saying is like, number one, it's about posture. Like, how are we posturing? Because when we posture ourselves like, Jesus, I'm ready to receive. And then there's a place of contending for the breakthrough, but then remaining in that place of like, and then this is coming from me subbing in the classroom. I've been sharing with you that I've been in a season of subbing. And one thing I'm noticing about is that it's really easy to go into, I'm just a tired this is what I feel in the atmosphere. I feel I'm just a tired teacher. I'm just worn out. I'm overused, or these feelings. But instead of saying that to ourselves, if that's happening, to go, no, I am a teacher who's connected to the King of Glory, the one most holy. I am connected to the one who's the author of time, and he's the author of creativity. And I am not lacking in any good thing. And so in that case, I'm one in the majority because I'm one with him and I'm in the majority. And so like, constantly coming back, like you were saying just a little while ago, about we have to keep coming back to the place of what is true. What's true in this circumstance? Who do I know God to be? And in that, who am I? Like my identity in Christ, even coming back to Ephesians 1. I'm like, wait a second. If I'm seated in heavenly places in Christ Jesus, he covers me. I have the righteousness of Christ. Then I should be seeing these things happen. But while I'm waiting for them to happen, what is true? He is faithful. He is good. So I keep my eyes on him. And I don't know, even through the season of COVID, I think the biggest thing, I mean, we often listen to that song about this is how I fight my battles, and it's all about worship. But that scripture verse about, I said, where does my help come from? It comes from the maker of heaven and earth. I don't just look at the hills. I look to God. So like, if my gaze is on him and I'm continuing to worship him who's worthy, then he's going to open up that space. I think there's an intimacy like key, but also an invitation from him to us, that if we step into this deeper place with him, that he's going to unlock things in us. And then we start to see, like you said, through church history, people are like starting to see things now and go, oh my gosh, this is really possible. Then our faith raises and there's more of a place for him to come and land. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Totally. Something that comes to mind is in this idea of how do we fight and also not stress ourselves out, wear ourselves out, burn ourselves out as teachers. And when I say fight, it's like the spiritual warfare that we are in a battle. And there's a tension there. And I was like, God, how do I do both at the same time? How do I, how's this kind of sustainable? Because I feel like I'm getting worn out in the battle, but I don't think it's supposed to be that way, and I had a picture of me sitting in, a hammock outside and with a sword in my, like kind of on my lap. And he said, rest is your weapon. And I was like, and I'm sharing this because I don't know if it was just for me or for more people, but that there is a sense of fighting in rest, because it goes back to what you said, identity. By resting in who we are and who he is, that is fighting the enemy. It's not just me standing up and trying to do all my, war moves. It's and a lot of it does come from the sense of resting in God, moving out of that place as we're teaching,
Mm-hmm.
that piece can actually probably heal more people than me trying to like work something up and like,
Yeah.
say the right words, do the right things.
The performance.
Performance. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
it's like the sword, the weapon is rest. And I also thought of, so many days that I walk across the parking lot to go into my classroom, it's easy to feel alone, going into my empty classroom to pray, to prep and all of that. There was this feeling of kind of like, hopelessness that would try to hit, or
Mm.
loneliness
Mm-hmm.
even. And God just started showing me like almost him walking into class with me, or angels coming into the classroom.
Mm.
You're not alone. This is not just you and here with these little children. It's so much more behind it that we don't see.
Mm-hmm.
And that has helped me with having hope for the momentum beyond. Sometimes I'm like, I can only teach, this many letters in Spanish today, or I can only, differentiate so much. And then it feels like there's so much that I'm not able to get to, but also knowing, but there's so, there could be multitudes of angels doing the part that I can't handle or manage, even
And boy, is that
behavior management.
encouraging?
Yeah. Just like you can do, God, you can do the part that I won't be able to reach.
Yeah,
Or
that
you
you
can
fill in.
exactly fill in the gaps. And I think part of it is just this intimacy of going side by side in with Jesus to the classroom, knowing
Mm.
like, this is enough. This right here, you, me together, is enough. And that goes completely up against the lie of teachers never feel enough. I know
Yeah.
that's one of my most common lies that I have believed, as I just subconsciously, even as I go
Mm-hmm.
through the day, feeling like this isn't enough for this kid, this isn't
Yeah.
enough for this class, my grades aren't whatever. And just knowing that this team, Jesus and I going into the classroom, um, is enough for these kids. And we have been chosen for this particular group of students,
Mm.
for a reason. And that being just called into that classroom is enough,
Yeah.
regardless of how well I quote unquote perform.
Yeah.
um, or like what I do as a teacher doesn't matter as much as the fact that I show up and I'm surrendered to him. I submit my classroom to him every day. And that's what I hold on to on the days that
Mm-hmm.
I feel all of the other thoughts coming at me, or the lies just going, but I'm still here and he's
Yes.
still here with me.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Ah, that's big because I think that the thing that we always have to come back to is, what am I first and foremost? I'm a daughter, I'm a son of the King of Kings. And like, I just followed him here. This is my platform for bringing the kingdom. It's Christ in you, the hope of glory, right? So we're a glory carrier. So like, even, and I still wrestled with this up to, yeah, I even do it as a sub. It's hard to let go of the whole piece of like, but these things didn't get done, or I could have done it differently this way. But that's like the criticism piece where the enemy wants to come in. And but really, it's about like, did you deposit what I asked you to deposit today? Did you say the things I asked you to say? Did you release the words of life? Did you call out gold in kids?
Mhm.
Okay, then you did it.
Mhm.
And just like letting go of all the quote unquote mandates or the have tos, or this is
Mhm.
so and so this for the next meeting, IEP and meeting in the morning or whatever. Um, but just knowing that God is proud of
Mhm.
you for what you're doing. And
Mhm.
I think it's like just needing to stop and yeah.
Mhm.
I
Some
don't know.
of
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say some of, when I ask God in the morning, in my classroom, what do I need to hear? He's never told me work harder, do more, all the things that I usually tell myself.
Mm-hmm.
He pretty much, the theme is he usually just tells me to have fun And I love that because I feel like most teachers we would err more on the side of perfectionism than laziness, like
Yeah.
we think,
Yeah.
oh, you got to do this and this better and improve this and this. And sometimes it might actually be like, just relax a little bit more and
Put the
enjoy.
shoulders down.
Yes. Like it's all good. And I think that piece of fun, he keeps reminding me of that because that's where learning happens. And that's where I grow as a teacher, is if I'm having fun, I'm going to grow a lot more than me being
Oh, true.
really critical of myself or uptight and trying to control the environment so that it's just a certain way, so I think it's really just so good that he knows what we need and
Yes.
just can kind of tailor, guide us through. I mean, he's the perfect mentor teacher, so just, and even it's just one word, he says fun, and it's like, okay, that took me 5 seconds, let's do that today. And it wasn't this, I had to do this huge ritual. I think it's much simpler than I tend to make it sometimes.
Yeah. No, that's really, really true. Yeah. Yeah. So we just want to encourage the listeners today just to remember, like, you are your father's special, the apple of his eye, and that he's so proud of you just for being there. And your one glance in his direction ravishes his heart, like it says in Song of Solomon. Just remembering, though, that um, the Lord doesn't want you to walk in heaviness. And like Claire said, sometimes it's way easier. Like what he's calling us to is actually breaking off that whole performance. Like, let's dust off our shoulders. Yeah, because we can definitely err on the side of let's not carry everybody's burdens. In fact, I'm going to share just a short little thing that I shared in our Kingdom Educator group a couple years ago. And it was, my mom encouraged me that when I leave school, to remember that sometimes when we're carrying things that aren't ours, just to take a second to give it back. So like I would get in the car and I would just say, Jesus, I just give back to you everything I saw, everything I felt, everything I heard today. And I just give it back to you. I release it to you. And I give back to the students, the staff, and all the agendas that everyone had and all the meetings, just anything, everything that fell on your plate today, and just give it to him. And I will tell you, almost every single time I felt this huge like weight come off my shoulders and my back. And I was like, okay, now I can just go do me. And like Claire, you said in another episode about the Lord showing you how to be the 3 o'clock teacher, the one that goes home at the right time and having that balance. I felt like that helped release me from a hook that like my schoolwork, my corrections, like all the pieces that maybe didn't get done or they should get done or whatever, to just let go of them and be like, okay, I'm going to move on to the next thing now, whatever it is. Yeah.
It's
Get it done.
trusting him. It's saying, I did what I can do and that's enough for today.
Yes.
And got it, just knowing he's still in the classroom when we leave.
Yeah.
He's still with those kids and their families after they go home. And we can trust him to take care, be the good shepherd, and we don't have to be constantly worried about everything. In fact,
so
we're
good.
supposed to not worry, but it's challenging. But it's just going, I'm gonna go do my stuff and you can take care of the rest. And I think that's such a good tip that you shared, and I've been applying that, just saying,
Yeah.
God, I've felt 1,000 emotions today along with these students and all the personalities. And just being able to surrender that and also find some time to just have some quiet, after school, to go from that noise to like something that can bring you back to just peace, have been key, like routines for me, especially as an introvert, to be able to come back and not have all of that busyness and noise, even just for a few minutes, trying to find that time to reset for the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah. No, that's really, really healthy. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.